ตอนนี้เราคิดว่าเราอยากที่จะได้คำถามนะคะมีคำถามเข้ามาสมควรทีเดียวจะขออนุญาตตอนนี้เปิดฟลอร์ก่อนก็ได้นะคะว่าท่านไหนอยากที่จะถามคำถามสดเรียนเชิญก่อนก็ได้นะคะDr. Herbert, right now I think we have come to Q&A sessions and there are numbers of questions have been posted in the chat box and we would like to go through those questions but at the moment is there any question from the floor so I would like to open up the floor for the Q&A questions มีไหมคะมีท่านไหนอยากจะถามสดไหมคะค่ะอาจจะตอนนี้ยังไม่มีนะคะงั้นเดี๋ยวขออนุญาตไปที่คำถามในแชทบ็อกซ์นะคะขอเชิญฝ่ายเลขาค่ะเป็นคำถามจากคุณพิมพิไลนะคะจากบ้านเด็กนะคะมูลที่บ้านเด็กนะคะคุณพิมพิไลนะคะจากมูลที่บ้านเด็กถามว่ามีเด็กอพยพอยู่ในกลุ่มเด็กบนถนนหรือไม่เราจะสนับสนุนการประเมินผลสำหรับฝ่ายบริการท้องถิ่นได้อย่างไร so Dr. Herbert this is question for you is there any migrant children on the street in the Philippines and how to this is the second question is how to best support the how to support them in terms of assessment to the local services. Dr. Herbert, please.
Okay, thank you for that question. To answer the first, are there any migrant children on the streets? Yes, there are. Okay, these are coming from rural areas going to the city centers because they often think that there are more opportunities for livelihood or to earn a living if they migrate into the more economically active or robust cities in the country, particularly from the provinces all over the Philippines going to the cities within Metro Manila. Okay, so there are. How do we address these problems? These situations of the children? I've always say that we are in collaboration with the local government and also the national agency, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, because they are the ones who have programs on returning these migrants from the provinces back and giving them opportunities for earning a living or having education in their own places where they have originated. So we are happy that we've been collaborating for so many years with both the local and national government agencies so that these challenges on preventing the migration of these children and along with their relatives from the provinces going into Metro Manila. But while they are in Metro Manila and while their cases are being processed by the local or the national government agencies, we still address their needs by including them as part of the street education and protection program. So still giving them opportunities for education while they are still in Metro Manila and also addressing their needs for relief assistance or even their health needs like getting checkups or being referred to a higher health institution whenever the need arises. So that's how we work with the migrant children from the rural communities.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Herbert. I think what I think the question from Kun Pimpirai is, thank you for that. And I think in terms of Thailand context, migrant children could be someone from neighboring countries and also, like you mentioned as well, from other provinces. But it's also, there was another question as well that asked you for the assessment. Is there any way to assess what kind of support had been done with the Child Hope? Is there any assessment that you could give us some advice?
Yeah, during the intake process of because we do an intake interview before they get into the program, there's already an assessment being done by the social worker with regards to the needs that should be addressed, and also the prioritization of these needs. These are discussed with if the child has guardians with them on the streets. These are discussed with the guardians or relatives, so that they would agree on the proposed plan of action. So there is I say an assessment part, so that it is clear at the onset, even before they are taken into the program, it is already clear with them what are we going to provide and what are the extent of our provisions, and what are expected of them in terms of participation. So that's how.
Thank you Dr. Herbert ค่ะ Dr. Herbert ก็ได้แชร์ให้เราฟังนะคะว่ามีการประเมินผลนะคะโดยใช้อย่างตัวอย่างเช่นการสัมภาษณ์นะคะหรือว่าตอนที่ออกแบบโครงการเนี่ยก็ได้มีการคำนึงถึงเรื่องนี้นะคะแล้วก็รูปแบบสามารถทำได้นะคะในหลายรูปแบบนะคะ Thank you Dr. Herbert. So another question is so Dr. พิมพิไลเมื่อสักครู่นี้Dr. Herbert ได้ตอบคำถามแล้วนะคะมีอะไรเพิ่มเติมจากตรงนั้นไหมคะจากมูลที่บ้านเด็ก
ค่ะพอดีมีความสงสัยในเรื่องเอกสารด้วยค่ะเพราะว่า migrant นี่อาจจะมาจากเหมือนที่อาจารย์ว่าที่ว่าอาจจะเป็นประเทศข้างเคียงอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเราอยากรู้ว่าถ้ากรณีที่เด็กไม่ได้มีเอกสารมากับตัวอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแล้วสามารถเข้าถึงบริการทางสุขภาพได้ไหมเข้าใจว่าเขา provide MFD ใช่ไหมคะแต่ว่าถ้าคนที่ไม่ได้มีสัญชาติเขาอย่างเงี้ยจะได้
โอเคขอบคุณค่ะดร. พิมพิไลจากมูลที่บ้านเด็กนะคะ so Dr. Herbert Dr. พิมพิไล thank you she's mentioned that thank you so much for you provide clarification on the migrant children, but she also have another questions that would like to seek your advice in terms of Thailand context. When we mention about migrant children, we also thinking about someone who are from like neighboring countries, there might be Burmese or there might be from other country as well. In the Philippines context, do you have any issue on the migrant kids from neighboring countries, and what we are facing in Thailand is in terms of their identification, since they are not Thai, so in order to cover, in terms of health coverage, might be an issue. So in terms of in the Philippines, you are facing that kind of issues as well, with the identification and how they can have an access to like health program, and if so, do you have any lessons to share with us? Thank you.
Thank you for that follow-up question. So far as with Child Hope's work for the past 30 years, we haven't encountered migration of foreign nationals into the Philippines. I think it is because mainly of the geographical state of the country, because we're islands and it's difficult to cross borders actually. But I know of situations down south wherein Filipinos would cross over to other countries nearby, like in Malaysia or Indonesia. I know that it poses a problem, but in our case, we haven't had any experience of working with those cases yet.
Thank you so much Dr. Herbert ค่ะก็เมื่อกี้ไม่เป็นไรพอดีว่าทางชายโฮปยังไม่เคยทำงานนะคะในขณะที่เป็นเด็กอพยพมาจากต่างประเทศนะคะแต่ก็มีเหตุการณ์นี้อยู่ในทางใต้นะคะทางใต้ของฟิลิปปินส์ก็เนื่องจากเป็นภูมิภาคและภูมิประเทศด้วยนะคะภูมิประเทศของประเทศไทยเนี่ยติดเพื่อนบ้านแต่ฟิลิปปินส์เนี่ยเขาอาจจะไม่ได้มีติดเพื่อนบ้านเยอะแบบเรานะคะก็ Dr. Herbert thank you so much. So the next question ขอคำถามที่2ด้วยค่ะคำถามที่2นะคะค่ะอันนี้เป็นเรื่องของ so Dr. Herbert is talking about the birth control. Is there any any program since you are a doctor too, right? So is there any program that involved with sex education, that you have been provided to the street children in the Philippines? Please, Dr. Herbert.
Yes. For our case, we actually have alternative education modules which discuss reproductive health and adolescent sexuality and reproductive health. So for children into their adolescent stages, these sessions are conducted. They are given information on birth control, on the different methods, both natural and artificial methods of control. But the organization maintains its policy that we do not push for any of or advocate for push for any one of them. Instead, we give them equal importance and instead give all of this information to our clients or beneficiaries. Should they want to avail of especially the artificial ways of birth control, then we refer them to partner organizations. That's why advocacy and networking is very important, because for those services that we cannot provide or we are not mandated to provide, we then refer them to organizations who are our partners who can better provide those services for them.
The next is from Kun Jirawat. She's from OCN, Thailand. And yeah, she was asking about is there, so the street children so possibly they can be risk of becoming victim of sexual abuse. So is that the case also in the Philippines, and how you handle those issues?
Okay, yes. We also encountered the same situation here in the Philippines. In fact, I remember one particular case that we were involved in way back in 2017. I think it was 2017, where this street girl was being trafficked and involved in the sex trade by adults who posed to be their guardians. Okay, so what we do is, since we are a private organization, we coordinate with the national government or the local government, who are mandated to have this police power to intervene with regards to apprehending these perpetrators. And what we offer for support is to do the counseling and the processing of the victim. But in terms of litigation and legal assistance, we either seek the help of, again, a partner organization who is mainly into legal matters, or especially the help of the local government in entrapping or dealing with the case. Once the perpetrator is apprehended and the case is already rolling, that's where our role is only to provide counseling and psychosocial support to the victim of the sexual abuse.
Thank you, Dr. Herbert. ก็เมื่อกี้สักครู่นะคะ Dr. Herbert ได้บอกนะคะว่าเรื่องปัญหาของการล่วงละเมิดทางเพศก็มีนะคะแต่สิ่งที่สำคัญถ้าจับประเด็นได้ก็คือว่าการอาศัยความร่วมมือจากหน่วยงานท้องถิ่นสำคัญมากนะคะที่จะต้องแก้ปัญหาเรื่องนี้ด้วยกันนะคะไม่ได้ทำงานด้วยหน่วยงานเดียวนะคะแต่ว่าต้องอาศัยเจ้าหน้าที่ของรัฐด้วยนะคะหน่วยงานในท้องถิ่นนั้นๆนะคะได้เข้ามาช่วยดูแลด้วยกันนะคะ Thank you so much Dr. Herbert อันนี้ก็ของคุณจิรวัฒน์นะคะคุณจิรวัฒน์แซ่อ๋องนะคะ OCN Thailand ค่ะถัดไปนะคะเป็นคำถามถัดไปนะคะ อันนี้ถามเป็นภาษาอังกฤษอยู่แล้วนะ so the question is in English so as from Chulalongkorn University คุณนิกใช่ไหมคะนิกพิเศษค่ะasking about the challenges of implementing non-formal education with the strict children during the COVID-19 so Dr. Herbert please
Yes. Actually, the non-formal education, especially the alternative learning system, is quite COVID-19 ready. I mean, this is I think the easiest to implement amidst the pandemic because with the non-formal education system, this is already modules-based, wherein the modules are printed out and given to the learner so that they could learn on their own times wherever they stay, and just go to like a tutorial class once a month or twice a month in a specific learning center that was established by the Department of Education. So I think this is actually one of the most resilient methods for education here in the Philippines. Compared to, if I may add, compared to the formal education sector, which has really, really many challenges because they are mostly the adjustment mainly is because they are used to the face-to-face classes, the physical face-to-face classes. There are really challenges in doing those things online because one, there are, as I've mentioned, several restrictions like internet connection, the ability to buy or possess those gadgets that they need, and also the relative readiness of the system, especially the teachers and also even the students with regards to the practice of online learning. Because I've talked to a lot of parents who have their children into formal school but doing online sessions right now, that the motivation to really learn has decreased because there are a lot of distractions available while they are learning at home. So there are several adjustments. I think the Philippines in particular is still adjusting its methods with regards to conducting the online classes for the formal sector. But with the non-formal education, this hasn't stopped actually, and it's more feasible during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's a very, the way you have told us is very interesting because you have mentioned that, with non-formal education actually has been applied what we might call flexible learning strategies long time ago, right? So when you're facing with COVID-19, it's actually, had been, adapted or adjusted already. So compared to the formal education, so that's very key thing you have mentioned. And I think, yeah, right now, even formal education, we have to do that as well. More like flexible learning. We have to apply more flexible learning strategy as well for the formal education as well. So next is from Kun Anshaya. She's from the academic. She is asking, maybe this one might be quite tough one for you, Dr. But if there's one day there's no NGO or government agency to help street children, so I think she might be asking about sustainability, how we can best support these children to thrive and survive safely and sustainably. Please, Dr. Herbert.
Okay, so to answer that, actually we are doing this because we wanted to, NGOs actually work until there's nothing to work for, or they change the mission of the organization. See, that's how we NGOs or foundations work. So how we do this, I am still emphasizing the importance of advocacy and networking involving the community, involving the local government, involving the people inside the community so that they would understand that this is also their responsibility. So a lot of in the 30 years of Child Hope's existence, we have implemented our program in different areas because we have to leave a certain area because the community has already taken in the program. So we have already left that area because the community is already the one managing. And they have recognized that the street children are part of the community, and they have implemented their own programs for the street children, especially supporting their welfare. So that is how I think the programs become sustainable. If you involve early on that these communities, and the local government, and also, different stakeholders, businesses, even when we're talking about stakeholders, the families, the parents themselves are also stakeholders. If you involve them early at the onset of taking in the child into your program, then they understand that it is important, that their role is important, and then if you ever leave them or that area, they would still thrive. The program would still thrive, and the outcomes would be better, actually.
Yes, indeed. I think, yeah, right. When we, I think kids are our children and youth are very, in terms of their situation as well. And I think Equitable Education Fund or EF, we also believe in, all for education as well. It means any parties, or partners can engage with education. That's the key thing. It could be local government, it could be NGO, because I think that we all need support, I think, from all sectors as well in order to make education, accessible for all kids. So yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Herbert. Next slide. From Dr. Buwan Pu Thong, from Lions, I think, Association Thailand, is asking about, the experience of child. They might have, like experience is not great, and with the result in behavior, right, that maybe it's quite difficult. So do you have any methods, in order to support them, empower them, so any techniques will be great. Dr. Herbert, please.
Yeah, as part of our alternative education or the street education and protection program itself, remember, I've always put at the forefront the role of our social workers, because as part of the alternative education sessions, we have values clarification. We recognize the possibility that most of the clients or the beneficiaries that we take into the program actually have baggages. Okay, that they have been emotionally burdened, or that they have been encountering difficulties within the family or within their communities. That's why they became street children. So as part of our case management, the social workers do constant counseling. We do values clarification sessions, and this is ongoing. If we take in a child at 6 years old, until they go out of the program when they are 18 years old, we still have values clarification sessions. The values clarifications are ongoing. Even if they undergo training in vocational technical training skills, they still undergo values clarification, because values and inculcating the positive values is important for the child to be able to realize that he or she needs to leave the streets in order for them to have a better chance at life. Okay, so that is very, very important in our work.
You have mentioned a very key thing, I think, about, to value, right? To value about themselves. ก็คือคุณดร. เฮอร์เบิร์ตพูดถึงเรื่องคุณค่านะคะต้องให้นักเรียนเนี่ยเห็นคุณค่าของตัวเองนะคะนี่เป็นสิ่งที่เขาออกแบบไว้ในโปรแกรมของ Child Hope นะคะองค์กร Child Hope ของฟิลิปปินส์นะคะถัดไปนะคะอันนี้เมื่อกี้สักครู่ได้ถามไปแล้วนะคะของคุณดร. สุเนศคล้ายๆกันนะคะที่ Child Hope พอดีเขายังไม่เคยทำงานที่เกี่ยวกับไมเกรนต์นะคะเท่าไหร่นะคะเพราะว่าส่วนใหญ่เด็กฟิลิปปินส์เนี่ยประเทศฟิลิปปินส์ไม่ได้มีประเทศเพื่อนบ้านนะคะมีแค่ติดมาเลเซียก็มีปัญหา ตรงแถบนั้นแต่ว่าชายโฮปองค์กรที่ดรเฮอร์เบิร์ตทำงานนี่ไม่ได้ยังไม่เคยมีประสบการณ์ทำงานเรื่องนี้นะคะงั้นถัดไปเลยค่ะคำถามที่9นะคะก็ asking about role of parents and family. You also mentioned in your slide that in order to be successfully right help or support street children, you need to engage with parents or family at the very first. And so could you please elaborate more how you best work with the family and how effectively you can work with them in order to support, in terms of the children development and also education? Dr. Herbert, please.
Yes. For the past year since Child Hope started, we're actually doing family counseling, especially if the child is for reunification with their families, because to address the issues that have sprung in the family, so that it wouldn't arise, or the family would be, the parents especially would be ready to accept the child back, and the child is also ready to go back to the family. But we're happy to be involved more formally in a project right now that addresses the families of our street children through family development sessions. So what are being conducted here are sessions on responsible parenthood, understanding the rights of the children, because like what Dr. Wirathep has mentioned, an organization there who has basically used the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child as their springboard in all of their programs. That's also our main guiding light for our street education and protection program. So addressing the problems of the parents included in the family development sessions are also activities or projects to address their economic poverty, which would be training in livelihood, because these are the problems that have been encountered by our street educators when they assess the situation of the child in linking with the situation of the families. Better parenting, understanding the rights, offering them a chance to have a decent living. These are the ways to how we address the problems of the family, involving the parents in the welfare of the children and the family as a whole.
Thank you, Dr. Herbert. ค่ะก็ Dr. Herbert ได้พูดเรื่องสำคัญนะคะเรื่องของพ่อแม่ว่านอกจากที่นี่เขาก็มีแบบระบบให้คำปรึกษานะคะสำหรับพ่อแม่นะคะก็คือเรื่องของการเลี้ยงดูเป็นยังไงนะคะแล้วก็สิ่งที่สำคัญมากกว่านั้นก็คือเรื่องของการให้อาชีพด้วยนะคะส่งเสริมเรื่องของโอกาสทางการทำงานหรืออาชีพด้วยเพราะเขาก็เมื่อกี้ดร. เฮอร์เบิร์ตก็พูดนะคะว่าปัญหาของเด็กเร่ร่อนที่เราเห็นเนี่ยจริงๆก็เกิดมาจากปัญหาทางด้านเศรษฐกิจนะคะที่พ่อแม่มีฐานะลำบากนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นก็การช่วยเหลือของเขาเนี่ยก็คือไม่ใช่แค่ช่วยเรื่องแค่เด็กแต่ว่าช่วยพ่อแม่ด้วยนะให้เข้าถึงสวัสดิการให้เข้าถึงอาชีพนะคะอันนี้เป็นเรื่องสำคัญที่จะต้องถึงจะเรียกว่าเป็นโมเดลการทำงานนะคะที่น่าจะประสบความให้โอกาสในการประสบความสำเร็จได้สูงนะคะเรื่องของการช่วยพ่อแม่ด้วยนะIt's from คุณธารัตน์ from Chulalongkorn University as well. She asks about about assessment. I think evaluation and assessment, how you conduct, the evaluations, whether, how the quality of life of these kids had been improved, or is there any participation, from the former street children that come to help with the existing street children. I think you have shown that in your slide as well, but if anything you could elaborate more, please, Dr. Herbert.
Yes, actually it's part of our aftercare to follow up on the status of the children and youth who have participated under our program. Just fairly recently, we have started a database of our graduates of the program, and because we measure success of the program in different ways. It could be like not just only for children and youth to finish school, formal schooling, and get a job right after. We also measure success by, for example, a child or a youth was able to fend for or earn a living because he has already started his own business, like that, or was able to for the little ones, if they are able to go up a higher level in terms of their education, that is also a form of success for that we keep track with. So yes, and I thank you for mentioning. I've also included in the slides some of our beneficiaries actually have been returning to us to tell us, well, they're messaging us how could we help, and we're very what do you call this? Our hearts are very delighted when these children who have been successful already in their own lives, not really being rich, but be able to take care of themselves and their families, also tell us, what do you want us? What help do you need? How can we help? Or they start their programs on their own to help children who are like them in the first place. Who are like them on the streets. So we have currently 2 former street children beneficiaries who have graduated formal school. One is a street educator, and the other one is an accounting clerk. But we have several other success stories. We have an aircraft pilot who right now was former beneficiary, and a public accountant. A lot of them have finished social work because they look up to their street educators, especially their social workers, and a lot of them also became teachers, so that they could also, in their own little way, help to uplift the lives of the children that might need their help while they are teaching. So that's how we do it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. Herbert. I think that's a very good, I think we can only take this one going to be the last questions, I think. And Dr. Herbert had shared with us, the success story, which is very interesting. เมื่อกี้ดร. Herbert ได้บอกนะคะว่าเรื่องของการประเมินนักศึกษานักเรียนนะคะนักเรียนเด็กกลุ่มเด็กเยาวชนเร่ร่อนเนี่ยเขาก็ไม่ได้มองแค่การเข้าไปสู่โรงเรียนหรือว่าได้งานอย่างเดียวนะคะแต่เขามองเรื่องของการเป็นผู้ประกอบการด้วยนะคะว่าหลายคนก็เป็นผู้ประกอบการได้นะคะหรือว่าตัวชี้วัดของเขานะคะก็คือมีฐานข้อมูลนะคะแล้วก็ติดตามการเปลี่ยนแปลงของเด็กคนนี้นะคะโดยผลสำเร็จของเขาที่เขาบอกเขาให้ฟังก็คือว่านักเรียนเด็กเยาวชนที่เป็นเด็กเร่ร่อนแล้วประสบความสำเร็จเนี่ยมาบอกได้ด้วยว่าคำว่า help คำว่าช่วยเหลือสิ่งที่เขาต้องการช่วยเหลือนี่มันคือเรื่องอะไรนะคะอันนี้ก็ทำให้เขาทำงานได้ตรงจุดมากยิ่งขึ้นเราก็ยกตัวอย่างได้ว่าเด็กเยาวชนเร่ร่อนที่ประสบความสำเร็จเนี่ยมีทั้งไปเป็นนักบินนะคะไปเป็นนักบินไปเป็นกลับมาทำงานเป็นนักสังคมสงเคราะห์ก็หลายคนนะคะเป็นคุณครูด้วยนะคะมาสอนนะคะเพราะว่าเขาก็จะรู้สถานการณ์เด็กกลุ่มนี้ได้ดีอันนี้ก็คือความสำเร็จที่ชายโฮปนะคะผ่านการทำงานของดร. Herbert เนี่ยได้ทำแล้วก็สร้างการเปลี่ยนแปลงให้ตัวเด็กเร่ร่อนนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นก็เรื่องฐานข้อมูลสำคัญนะคะแล้วก็การเปิดกว้างเรื่องของอาชีพนะคะไม่ได้เรื่องของเข้าเรียนอย่างเดียวแต่ว่าทำงานด้วยแล้วก็เป็นผู้ประกอบการด้วยถ้าใครมีความสามารถนะคะก็สามารถที่จะทำได้แล้วก็ขณะเดียวกันเนี่ยในฐานะที่ใช้โฮปเป็นองค์กรเนี่ยเรื่องฐานข้อมูลแล้วก็ track นะคะ track ก็คือว่าติดตามผลนะคะเพื่อให้เห็นความสำเร็จนะคะนี่เป็นเรื่องสำคัญที่ดร. Herbert ได้ไฮไลท์นะคะก็ I think we have taken numbers of questions and we have learned a lot more as well both through your presentation and also your during the Q&A session. I think we would like to have last words maybe from Dr. Virathep and then from Dr. Herbert later on. Dr. Virathep มีอะไรจะสะท้อนช่วงท้ายนี้ไหมคะก่อนที่เราจะปิดเวทีขอ Dr. Virathep ก่อนเลยค่ะหลังจากที่ได้ฟังทั้งคำถามนะคะคำตอบต่างๆเชิญค่ะ
คือโดยภาพรวมของทางประเทศไทยและฟิลิปปินส์นะครับ จริงๆแล้วเราจะเห็นภาพของการทำงานเนี่ยค่อนข้างเป็นองค์รวมคือไม่เขาเรียกแล้วนะองค์รวมหมายถึงว่าทุกมิติไม่ว่าจะเป็นด้านสุขภาพนะด้านการศึกษาใช่ไหมครับด้านสังคมแล้วก็ในประเทศเราของประเทศไทยเนี่ยเราจะพบว่าการทำงานร่วมกับหน่วยงานเนี่ยภาครัฐเนี่ยค่อนข้างเป็นไปด้วยดีนะครับเป็นการหนุนเสริมกันพอสมควรเลยครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นทางกศน.เองหรือว่าทางคม.เองใช่ไหมฮะหรือทางกทม.เองนะครับการทำงานร่วมกันค่อนข้างเป็นไปด้วยดีนะครับแต่ยังไงก็ตามเนี่ยในบางเรื่องอาจจะต้องเขาเรียกว่าทำ case management นะครับเด็กเป็นรายบุคคลได้ชัดเจนเพื่อให้เห็นปัญหาของเด็กคนหนึ่งว่ามีปัญหาในมิติไหนบ้างเพื่อจะได้ใช้เขาเรียกว่า ecosystem ครับระบบนิเวศการเรียนรู้ที่มีหลากหลายในสังคมเนี่ยช่วยเขาในการที่จะทำให้เขาเป็นคนที่เป็นพลเมืองไทยและพลเมืองโลกที่ดีต่อไปนะครับ
ขอบคุณดร.เวเทพมากเลยนะคะก็ได้ฝากประเด็นนะคะสำคัญว่าได้ให้เห็นนะคะว่าภาพฟิลิปปินส์กับประเทศไทยเนี่ยสิ่งที่น่าจะสำคัญที่เราได้เรียนรู้ร่วมกันก็คือเรื่องของการทำงานเป็นบูรณาการแล้วก็เป็น holistic นะคะอันนี้เป็นคำนี้สำคัญนะคะก็ดร. Herbert is there any last word from you please
one particular quote that I remember when I was in first year medical school is what good does it do to treat people's illness only to send them back to the conditions that made them sick so this encapsulates what we should do in case management we should address holistically what is happening in their lives target education target health target social welfare there should be no thing that is addressed differently and it should be addressed equally only prioritizing which needs to be done first okay but they should all be done holistically that's how we do it at childhood
yes thank you so much Dr. Herbert I think you have conclude I mean perfectly in terms of what you just mentioned about holistically and equality as well so I think thank you so much I think we have inspired by the Child Hope's works and through your leadership I think we have gained knowledge and techniques as well how to best support to provide support to an opportunity to street children and youth and I think what you mentioned as well if you elaborate a bit more you emphasize a lot on holistic which mean we cannot just give them education right opportunity but we also have to look into other aspects as well which include psycho support with health with parent engagement and I think these all area are very important in order to bring these children to thrive right and survive as well so this is what you have been discussing and I think also we also learn from Thailand as well the model that we've been working on and we hope that and we looking forward as well to work with all of you in the near future and Dr. Herbert as well if you have a chance we would love to have you here in Bangkok as well so that you could learn even more and I think just during afternoon session probably not enough to go in through all key learning that we would like to learn from you and also we have a number of questions that haven't been answered yet but we will make sure that the question will be answered through email and so on so once again thank you so much and could you all share appreciation and thank you for Dr. Herbert through you can all thumbs up ยกนิ้วให้คุณ Dr. Herbert หน่อยนะคะเป็นภาพสุดท้ายก่อน so thumbs up to you Dr. Herbert and thank you so much thank you
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณทุกท่านนะคะขอบพระคุณค่ะขอบพระคุณทุกท่านนะคะเดี๋ยวโอกาสหน้าคงจะได้มีโอกาสได้จัดเวทีแบบนี้ร่วมกันต่อนะคะแล้วก็มีการประเมินผลด้วยถ้าเกิดทุกท่านจะฟีดแบ็กนะคะให้คำแนะนำกับการจัดงานครั้งต่อไปก็ยินดีค่ะก็ขอบคุณทุกท่านมากเลยค่ะ thank you so much and goodbye thank you Dr. Herbert Dr. วิเทพด้วยค่ะขอบพระคุณค่ะขอบพระคุณค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ